Poor, unfortunate soul. You don't see I'm the only one who can save you. Loathsome. I want to make your face contort in fear and despair. I want to see you cry as you beg for my love. I hate myself for these thoughts. Vile, odious, revolting dregs of humanity shouldn't be alive, but if I do good things for others, my heart will be filled. And for you, I would do anything. For you, for you, for you. I must do good things.
Released on the 7th of March 2025, today we're going to talk about Saihate Station. Give me a minute. 1 second.
Saihate, which means
at the end in Japanese.
let's say it all together. Saihate.
Saihate Station. Okay. We're going to explore the story of the game and the characters within it. This includes a variety of endings, so of course spoilers ahead, so, watch at your own cost. Also, if you do enjoy today's video, please make sure to show some love to the creator of the game. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin.
Just a heads up, this game does contain depictions of suicide, gore, blood, and all of that, so if you don't really like that stuff, just a heads up. But yeah, let's get back to it.
Chapter 1. Awakening.
As we awake, we find ourselves in the shoes of a man named Haru Akanashi on the train after a long day of work. But surprisingly, our carriage is empty. After a bit, we realize we had missed our stop, so we begin to take in our surroundings. Next to us is a duffel bag, inside is left with nothing but a handkerchief, with a small little flower embroidered into it. For a moment, we hear a voice call, but don't pay too much mind to it. Upon further investigation, we learn that all of the exits are seemingly locked, which include the door to the carriage before us. Attempting to look outside leads to no avail, as it's described as an unending darkness. With no options left, we make our way to the train's controls, but unexpectedly, we find there is no one there. After continuing our search, we are once again left with no way out, and are forced to wait until morning before someone can save us. Our annoyance is cut short though, as the noise is heard from the carriage we were previously in. As we make our way back, we find a new passenger sitting down fast asleep, so Haru decides to be a prick today, and wakes him up. And we learn this is one of our co-workers, and as Haru states, former friend. So, let's welcome Shion Tatsunami, the golden boy of the working world. Woo! That's my goat! That's my goat! We begin to see the dynamic between these two, as Haru begins to compare himself to Shion, which causes him to degrade himself. Shion begins to take initiative and remains calm, figuring out what to do next. The pair begin to venture around the train, looking for clues on how to get out. The two attempt to use the phone again to call some help, but are instead met with a warning from the other side.
You mustn't go outside. Don't do it. You absolutely must not leave. Absolutely must not.
The call is cut short, as the duo decide to head back to their original carriage, but are met with a horrific sight, as a pool of blood appears where the two used to stand. Understandably, Haru and Shion are distraught, but what is interesting is how quick Shion recovers after witnessing the pool of blood compared to Haru, who continues to be frightened. Coming closer, we can hear the faint cries of a person, and a flash of a woman bleeding on the floor appears. This causes Haru to step back, but unexpectedly, Shion doesn't seem to have heard it. We begin to see that Haru must have some sort of connection to this woman, as he states, "No, it couldn't be. Dreaming about her murder? How awful." Shion once again takes charge, using a nearby poster to clean up the blood. After doing so, 2 digits are revealed. Using these numbers and a pair of numbers we found previously on our journey, we managed to open the door to the train, and journey outside, even when warned not to, because that's obviously the smartest move to ensure our survival. Yeah.
Chapter 2. The Station.
Exiting the train, we are left in an empty void, with nothing but a train platform surrounded by darkness. Then, Haru puts his hand in a trash can for some reason. Right. Okay, you know what? Let's just go with it. Surprisingly, there is a red ticket at the bottom. Okay, well, I shouldn't be expecting too much from a world like this, I guess. Anyway, once Haru grabs the ticket, he is immediately shown a vision of a woman being pushed onto the train tracks. Haru recognizes this woman as his manager, who he doesn't have the best relationship with, often degrading his work ethic overall. Once out of his vision, we see Shion unaffected. So it's safe to assume that Shion can't see these visions like Haru can. Exploring the station further, there's a flight of stairs that lead to a ticket gate. Unfortunately, the duo need to find 4 tickets to enter, but continue exploring and find a sign saying, Saihate? Never heard of that station. Hold on, that's the name of the game! Yeah, moving on. The station speakers come to life, as it tells our heroes to stay behind the yellow line, but in the distance, a black shadow emerges, chasing the pair. Reacting quickly, Shion takes Haru into another train car to avoid the monster, and shuts the door behind him. Understandably, Haru begins to be overwhelmed, shoving Shion away from him due to his panic, but once realizing what he's done, Haru finds himself afraid of death, going into a spiral of emotions. But Shion manages to reassure him, saying that the pair will get out safely. The duo grow closer, once more making a promise they'll leave together. They begin to explore once more, noticing that the carriage lacks any power. This carriage, however, is special, as it's the only one with a vending machine, but also has a second floor, assumingly for richer customers. Surprisingly, there's a painting on the wall that seems oddly suspicious. Removing it shows a rusty knife remaining behind it. Taking the knife, we move on to the power room, but it's locked. Shion states that he can lockpick the door, which, I'm just saying, is suspicious as hell, but manages to use the knife to enter the room, which even has Haru confused, but Shion simply brushes it off, saying he learned it from movies. Once entering the room, after completing a puzzle using the clues around them, they manage to restore power to the carriage. And all I'm saying is, what power system uses like 5 buttons that need a random sequence of colors to bring power to an entire train? What the fuck? Anyway, you know what? Let's just move on. Unexpectedly, the entire room is engulfed in flames. Voices emerge, leaving Haru in complete panic, attempting to force open the door, but to no avail as it's sealed shut. Eventually, using the oil lighter, they manage to break out, surviving once more. The pair is obviously out of breath after being in a life or death situation, but this time we finally get our first bit of backstory on Haru, as the voices from the fire bring back some horrible memories. Haru wasn't the most liked during his school years, being bullied constantly. It was to a point where he wasn't even seen as human, almost like a stain on the world, his classmates asking if he could just die to do the world a favor. One day, Haru would attempt to ask an adult for help, but in doing so, his bullies simply hurt him more to a point where they beat him up constantly. And nobody stepped in. He was alone, accepting his fate, believing it would make things easier that way. Created the mindset where deep down he thought he deserved that because, in his words, the victim's always responsible. Haru even manages to blame himself over his bullies. Once we return to the real world, Shion sees Haru distraught and decides to take him to rest. Sitting down, the two begin to reminisce on good times. During this, the two begin to apologize to one another for not being able to repair their friendship and pushing each other away, and they manage to reconcile and move forward, becoming friends once more. Shion claims he's parched, so you head back to the vending machine from beforehand, but as you attempt to use it instead of a drink, the dang arm drops down, and then Shion, using his amazing deduction skills, decides to give it to the shadow monster? But it surprisingly works. Alright then. The monster vanishes, but before the two decide to exit the train, Tatsunami runs off for a bit. Going after him, we find a mess, his hand dripping with blood as he smashes the mirror with his fist. Why are you still... Just disappear already! You're not needed here! Tatsunami notices us enter, and witnesses the sight before us, and quickly attempts to compose himself. Tending to Tatsunami's wounds, the pair decide to venture out to the station. Exiting the train, they find a bloody ID card in place of where the monster was, belonging to the woman shown in the previous flashback, Haru's manager. Haru is reminded of an incident with Tatsunami that caused him to distance himself. We witness Haru taking the blame for Tatsunami's mistakes. Surprisingly, the manager doesn't seem too angry, but the reason for this is because the manager believes Haru's mistake wasn't a surprise at all, calling him useless among other unsavory things, pushing Haru deeper into his self-loathing. Chapter 3: Fragments. With the creature gone, the pair decide to explore the station. We are greeted by a character known as the Trembling One, who thankfully isn't hostile, but instead gives us discreet advice on where to find the tickets. In the first location, we revisit the power room, which is no longer burning, and in the center of the room, we find a ticket on the floor. Interacting with it, we are presented with a new memory, but surprisingly, this isn't one belonging to Haru. Instead, it seems to be the culprit of the fire, as we can hear their internal thoughts. They incapacitated the maintenance workers and started the fire, setting up the wiring to look like an accident. The next location is on the platform, finding a crack with a ticket inside. Grabbing it once again, we are presented with a new memory. But this time, it's in the train. We witness two people talking about something. We aren't given too much context, but they seem to be discussing their next move after doing something which we don't know about. The conversation ends with the final statement. Let's go on and on, together. The final ticket is found after unlocking the laptop, using Haru's birthday as the password. Okay. Well, we found the ticket! And not only that, some pictures of a figure looking like Haru. Fuck. Haru cannot stop catching strays. Give my man a break! God damn! We find ourselves in a black corridor, with scribbles written on the floor. Moving down the corridor, we find 4 pages each, with its own message. The pages together state the following. Why is nothing working out? The harder I try, the more distant he becomes. Every time I bring him up in my mind for rumination, I'm plagued with doubt. What if I'm just desperately trying to hide my own weakness? What if he's just a means to that end? Absolutely not! My intentions are pure and heartfelt. I keep reminding myself of that. But now, whenever I see him, some unpleasant thing starts bubbling up inside me. No, I have to prove it. I must act for the sake of others. Otherwise, no one will like me. All actions for the sake of others are good, no matter what. After this, we once more see a contrast in our two characters, as Haru doesn't believe that anything should go for someone else's sake, while Shion states that he believes it's alright if it makes another person happy, foreshadowing the information we learn later. After obtaining all the tickets, Haru out of nowhere collapses, and we dive deeper into Haru's memories. We awaken on a date with a girl named Aoi Tenjiku. My personal favorite, just heads up. Anyways, and finally, this moment is actually sweet, with Haru and Aoi being on their 100th day anniversary. Aoi gives Haru a present to celebrate such a joyous occasion, a small handkerchief which we found at the start of the game. The moment is sweet, seeing a side of Haru that we haven't truly seen yet. But, as we all know, Haru can never be happy. At all. So, let's skip to another memory, with Aoi and Haru spending time together until the shadows of Haru's past follow, as his bullies unexpectedly come across him, making the two extremely uncomfortable. We get more insight to Haru's school years, as the bullies mention how adamant he was to please people, even shoplifting at an attempt to be liked. The moment is short-lived, as the bullies try to get Aoi to come with them, while Aoi clocks one of them, because she takes nothing from nobody! Unfortunately, she does get hit. But, listen, okay, the goat Aoi still at least got like a really good hit in, like left, right, good night, you know? An officer arrives before the situation can escalate, and after this day, the two begin to drift apart until one day Haru receives a message to talk. And you know when you see that message, it's wraps for Haru's relationship. Like, who am I gonna lie to? It was just over. Anyways, as expected, the two break up, but during their talk, Haru dives into this spiral of apologizing, placing all the blame on himself, but Aoi stops him, telling her that the incident beforehand had nothing to do with their breakup. Aoi instead leaves him a final message.
This is who I fell in love with? The guy who'd never hurt anyone. But you're so quick to hurt yourself, to run away. And I hate that. I detest the sight of you. So stay out of my life.
The pair stop talking after this. Living true to Oi's request, we learn the flower embroidered onto the handkerchief is a fleabane, which in Hanakatoba means reminiscent love. Haru awakens in a train car. In front of him is the duffel bag we had at the start of the game, and a shadowy figure guides him, with voices being heard in the background blaming Haru for everything, saying he's responsible for it all. We find Oi laying in a field of flowers, but interacting with her, the surroundings shift, as she rests on a pile of blood now, presumably dead. A voice speaks to him, assumingly Aoi's voice, asking him to remember, to no longer run away, to forgive her little brother, because he has so much fear in him, and finally asks one last thing, for Haru to forgive himself. Haru wakes up with Shion by his side, watching over him. Haru struggles to come to terms with Aoi's death, with his thoughts and Tatsunami's words beginning to clash, and he becomes overwhelmed with sound. But Shion offers comfort, saying to leave everything to him. But as Shion gives him his hand, gesturing for him to go on a walk, there's a disturbing look on his face, leaving us unsettled and low-key creeped out. As we grab his hand, the world around us distorts, Shion's face turning black, and a disgusting feeling takes over our body. Eventually, we let go, and the two use their tickets and descended to the train station.
Chapter 4. The Other Side.
Entering the station, we're greeted by two doors and a stairway up. Attempting to upstairs, we find a cocoon-shaped object with tendrils blocking our exit. With nothing sharp enough to cut it, you decide to test your luck with the other two doors. Though one door is locked, the other one is thankfully open. Entering it, there are 5 pages scattered in the middle. Interacting with each page's reveals a statement. I don't want anything in return. I love myself. I love my mom and dad so much. I want nothing more. As long as is happy, then so am I. After reading each page, the trembling one appears, asking a simple question. Which is the lie? The answer being all of them. The figure vanishes, giving us the apartment key, giving us access to the other door. Entering, we find, as they suggest, an apartment filled with trash and pages littering the walls. In the center of the apartment, there is a grindstone, which allows us to sharpen our knife, which we can use to destroy the cocoon, but also a diary in the top left corner. Okay, so I won't read it all out, but I would recommend, if you do consider playing the game, to read it for yourself, but I'll give a short summary anyway. So, yeah. The owner of the diary, assumingly Aoi's brother that was mentioned beforehand, upon reading, we can see Aoi and her brother used to get scolded constantly, with Aoi maintaining a smile while her brother hated her. They were distant. Aoi's brother was taught that being loved meant you had to be worth loving. This feeling of being unlovable grew. He simply wanted to be seen, until one day he saw another boy, describing him as pathetic. He would watch from the shadows, observing this boy, calling him his salvation, but never interacting with him. Aoi's brother's hate grows more and more, eventually discarding his family name and moving on to a new one. Under his new name, he finally meets with the boy he's been silently observing, but in doing so, unexpectedly something happens which causes the two boys to stop talking. But Aoi's brother doesn't take it lightly, looking for some way to fix it. I'd assume you could piece it together by now, but if you couldn't, it's okay. I'll tell you myself. This apartment, the diary, the pages, the laptop, all of it was Shion's doing. An attempt to leave the apartment, we hear a knock at the door. Looking through the peephole, we see nothing until we try look a second time. As you exit, Haru is a bit shaken up. Shion notices the knife, and it's up to you to trust Shion with the knife or not, but even if you decide to give it to him, he'll just take it either way. Yeah, there's no point in trying to keep it with you. Cutting through the cocoon, we go down a hallway, and the further we go down, the lights begin to disappear, and eventually you're stuck in pure darkness. Forced to move forward, eventually you can no longer see Shion. Though he's gone, there's no point in going back, so you move forward, assuming he went on ahead. As you go on, Shion runs at you from behind, pulling you back, scaring Haru, but you don't pay too much mind as Shion tells you to stick close to him next time. Arriving at the end of the hallway, we find an elevator. Getting in, you have the most awkward elevator conversation, mainly carried by Tatsunami, and eventually he asks, "Senpai, will you promise to stay with me, no matter what happens?" You can either choose to promise or not, but once again, you don't have a choice as Haru's moral compass prevents it. And after you witness this one-sided conversation, you finally reach the bottom.
Chapter 5. The Truth.
Welcome back. This is the very end. It's all over now. It's time to remember everything. You wake up in the train car again, the same one where you found Aoi's body, but this time you're met with the trembling one guiding you towards the other side. With no other option, you're forced to follow. You arrive at the flower field, but instead of Aoi's corpse, you find the duffel bag waiting for you. Opening it, the world goes black as your memories flow back into you, showing you the truth of what truly happened on the train. Haru just finished a shift, taking the train home exhausted, but he finally goes to take his well-deserved rest. He can hear someone in the other car. His curiosity betrays him, and he decides to check it out. On his way there, he stumbles across a newspaper. Reading it, we learn a fire had broken out on a train not too long ago, killing 3 people.
Another article next to it reads a person jumping in front of an ongoing train, which resembles the same incident we got visions from after finding the tickets. Moving on, we finally go to the next carriage, but we're left with an unsavory sight. Shion looms over Aoi's dead body. Knife in hand, you are left in shock. As Shion looks at you with cheerful eyes, you are in utter disgust. As Shion gets closer, saying it was all for you, for your sake, to make you happy. Shion did every single crime beforehand, to make amends, to condemn those who have hurt you. And unfortunately, Aoi was on his list of names. You want to leave, you want to run, but at the end of the day, they all died because of you. So you're left with the question, am I a murderer? You must make amends. You only have one option, and you finally look at Shion asking, do you want to run away together? You, with the help of Shion, begin to clear the mess by putting her body in the duffel bag, and using the same handkerchief she gave you to clean her blood. She is gone forever, and you killed her, and now you choose to take responsibility, but you still choose to run away. The only thing you take is Shion's guilt and placing it on yourself, because at the end of it all, you truly hate yourself, because you tell yourself the victim is always at fault. This is your mentality, and this is your way of thinking, and it will trap you forever. As Haru's memories finally become clear, he begins to vomit, struggling to come to terms with it all, and finally, we see it. Regret. Shion knew all of this, keeping an act with you the entire time. You learned this world, the station, the train, all of it. It's a creation of your guilt, a way to cope with it all by blocking everything out. And finally, Shion reveals his true self to you. He loves how pitiful you are, how pathetic you are, because it satisfies him that someone is more pathetic than him. At the end of it all, he'll do anything for you, just for you. Even if you wish to die, he'll die with you. Haru now isn't the same. He decides to stop running away, telling Shion, I loathe you. Destroying your connection, but Shion decides to fulfill your promise. If you hate Shion, then there's no reason for him to live. And if that's the case, Shion decides to fulfill your empty promise, because no matter what happens, you'll both go together. Shion puts his hands around Haru's neck, holding him against the wall, strangling him to death. Haru struggles to break free, with Shion begging for you to stop and to accept death, because this way is pure. Everything he's done is the purest form of love, and you will accept it whether you like it or not. Finally, you manage to break free, pushing him away, and you only have one goal left. You need to get out.
Ending C. Warmth.
Failing to run away, Shion eventually catches up to you. He stabs you, causing you to collapse, slowly dying in his arms, as you no longer can fight back. As Shion tells you to accept your death, and it's all over now. This ending doesn't really have much to it, so let's move on.
Ending B. Atonement.
Managing to escape Shion, you lock yourself in the control room as he bangs on the door, waiting for you to open it. You pick up the nearest fire extinguisher as you attempt to defend yourself, finally deciding to open the door. And finally, Shion collapses from the impact, bleeding from his skull. Haru gets on top of him and begins to choke him. Shion tries to apologize, but Haru cuts him off. Your kindness was not love. It just filled the void of your loneliness. I wish you were never born. You squeeze harder and harder until he stops moving, as he's died from your own hands. You reclaim the knife, and using it, you take your own life to atone for your sins.
Ending A. Return.
Upon killing Shion, you have another option. Instead of using the knife, you can instead use a handkerchief, and in doing so, Aoi appears to you for one last conversation, telling you to forgive yourself, because as long as you live, you're making amends. It wasn't your fault this happened, so it's up to you to forgive yourself. You wake up on the train, the sun beams down, lighting up the carriage, and you realize you don't know where you are. You quickly leap off the train to a random station, but this time instead of a void, you're greeted by a beautiful ocean. You can't remember a single thing looking at the barrel bag next to you. You find a handkerchief with a flower next to it.
Your life resumes without remembering a single thing, but at night, you have the same dream of strangling a man.
Ending Z. Together forever.
If you follow a certain set of steps, you can actually get a new ending. After remembering everything, Shion doesn't seem to retaliate with anger. Instead, he trusts that you won't leave, because you threw everything away just for him. Shion simply tells Haru how to leave, and all he must do is accept reality. Unexpectedly, the train shifts as a shadowy figure resembling Haru begins to try corrupt his thoughts, but Haru pushes away. Haru tells himself that he isn't alone, he won't be afraid, and in doing so, the world shifts. The ideal space for the two of you where no one can hurt you, and you both can keep each other's company in this false reality. The game ends with Haru resting on Tatsunami's shoulder as he tells him everything will be alright. Whoa, you made it to the end of the video. Okay, well, this is kind of just the outro, so, I'm gonna be honest, throughout this entire recording, I have been so sick. I'm actually losing my voice as well, so maybe it wasn't the best idea considering this is my first video essay. But yeah, this game is one of my favorites due to its themes, characters, and generally just the way it presents itself. It's not too complex where you struggle to understand its themes, but it's also diverse with its characters, allowing you to connect and understand them. I will say, I obviously am not a professional when it comes to rating these kinds of games, but in my opinion at least, it's great at what it's attempting to capture, and especially since it's free. I recommend playing it even if you decide to watch the video, and maybe even grab a friend and voice act it like I did for the first time. I do intend on making a video on the DLC for the game now that the English translations have been released, so if you enjoy it, make sure to stick around. This is my last little note, but this is my first ever video essay, so thank you if you decided to watch. I hope you enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm glad to all the help, and shout out to my goat Ray for doing Awa's voice. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you again, and see ya!